Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Wave the Brush with me, your host, Kris, aka the Name Butcher, aka Hey, you get off my lawn, aka Kris, you're being creepy again. Wave the Brush, the most informative 120 minutes on the internet on the wargaming lifestyle. We'll talk about painting, terrain, conversions, and just about everything under the sun. So no topics are barred. We'll talk about anything and everything. So first time viewers, be warned. Show can go off the rails pretty darn quick around here. So if you want to keep things on the hobby side of the conversation as far as painting and gaming and everything like that, be sure to ask your questions in the chat, whichever direction it might be in for you. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, or if you're watching this after the fact, feel free. And of course, if you are not watching this live, but you want to have your questions answered, you can always submit emails to Kris@WayOfTheBrush. It is in the description below. And if you're on Instagram and you're sharing photos and you want to, be part of the Instagram portion of the show, you can always use the hashtag #WayOfTheBrush. And, I'll be sure to see it at that portion of the show. So there's many ways to, of course, you can also join us on Discord. Links in the description. It's all in the description. WayTheBrush.com in the description. Links for t-shirts and everything like that in the description. Membership on YouTube in the description. What else? What else is in the description? Patreon. Huge thank you to all my patrons. Continued support. Brand new ones. It's all about you guys. So yeah, huge thank yous. If you're not able to support monetarily, i.e. money, thumbing up the video, liking, following, subscribing, commenting, ringing the bell, blah, 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 blah. All that helps the channel as well. It all takes a couple of clicks of a button, and you're helping me out a great deal. So a huge thank you to everybody who does that as well. Who's joining us today? I can see Evan Belleau. So, Evan Belleau, I thought you said you weren't going to be able to show up today. Greenleaf Terrain, Way of the Haircut. Yeah, I'm just kind of like letting it all grow, and it's wild right now. It's really, really wild. And in fact, when I wake up in the morning, like if I shower at night, as some do, and I go to bed, my hair ends up sticking out. It looks like Wolverine. I get like flat on the top and I just get the sides going on the things here. It goes total Wolverine on me. And yeah, I might rock Wolverine for a while. I don't know. Hard to say. Just for gigs anyway, right? Hiroke, great to see you live, Kris. I am alive. And it's good to be alive. It is good to be alive. It's good. And I'm glad to see you're doing well, Hiroke. I know you posted in the Discord asking, and I did reply to you. So don't think I was ignoring you or anything like that. Evan Belleau, love will find a way of the brush or something. Love will find a way. What is it? The power of love. What is it? No, what is that? What is that trope in movies? Love finds a way? No, not love finds a way. It is love conquers all. That's it. That's the trope. Love conquers all. In movies, right? The story of the movie is love conquers all. Titanic, love conquers all. Star Wars, love conquers all. Okay, so fairly quiet. Oh, Arturo Patet. Oh, geez. That's a name I haven't read in a bit. Last time I saw you live, you were handsome, woolly mammoth. Now a handsome man. What? A woolly mammoth? Like a mammoth? I'm a woolly mammoth? Ghost of Starman Deluxe Areas. Afternoon, Kris and Monkeys. Afternoon. Arturo. Hi, Kris. Hi. That's a name I have not read in a long while. All right, so it's good to see you're still about living, hopefully painting, enjoying wargaming, and having fun, and just enjoying life. Hopefully everything is going well with you. Evan Belleau, this is also my recommendation for the name of the episode, for what it's worth. Oh, love finds a way. This is the way. Is that a play on that? This is the way? Yeah. This is the way. This is the way. Way of the brush. It's not brush anymore. It's brush. 2 O's. Or 1 O with the 2 dots above it. Arturo, living without my appendix. Oof. Did you just recently get your appendix removed? Oh, yeah? I've never had to do that. Knock on wood, as, I don't know. Most of my organs seem to function. Of course, I don't really appreciate it because, well, I have abused my body in the past with substances and such. Arturo, 2 weeks ago. Oh, yeah, 2 weeks ago. So you're still healing, though. So you still got a fresh scar. And, of course, people love scars, right? Scars, right? That's why, the heroes always look more heroic with scars. The villains always look more villainous with scars. Somebody with scars, especially on their face and everything like that. Yeah, they look like they've been through some shit, right? They look like they've been through some shit, and they're not to be trifled with. Scars are good. Scars are good. It's just like mistakes, right? Love your mistakes. Own your mistakes. Scars, same kind of thing. Tell a story. It's all a part of the tapestry of life. Honestly, it looks like a C-section. Hey, if people ask, tell them, yeah, it was a C-section. That'll just throw them right for a loop, I'm sure. All the normies out there, yeah, you tell them that's a C-section scar, they'll pause. They'll definitely pause. You'll get some looks. That's okay. Because when you make a complete stranger reconsider their thoughts of what they assumed was what they thought they were seeing, all the better. When you make people question what they're seeing. And either they have two choices, right? They can either ask follow-up questions to gain more information, or let it be and continue to ignore and choose the initial fantasy in which they were perceiving something, right? You offer them a choice. When you present somebody with really odd things that are outside the norm or outside their own expectations, oh yeah, you enter some very fun territory, especially if you're just messing with people. And honestly, I enjoy messing with people. The wannabe painter, but it has to be a light scar, not that type of World War I trench scar. No, you need the trench scar, especially like the ones you get in the face, and it's like it's a deep rivet in the face like that. Oh yeah, no, that's badass. I mean, and again, in the stories, hero, big scars, he's more heroic, right? Villain, scars, more villainous. So, again, scars are good. Scars are good. There should be nothing wrong with scars. And even when you see it elsewhere, right? On men and women, it all tells a story. So, no. People are too self-conscious about scars. And it's a natural process. Same with like broken bones and stuff like that. No, be proud. Be proud of these things, because these are interesting moments in your life when you faced danger and you came out the other side stronger, right? That's what that means. That's the story it's telling. Is you faced adversity and you came out the other side alive and lived to tell the tale. Of course, you can always embellish the tale as well. Again, just to mess with people. If you want. I mean, if you want. Arturo, before Crimson Fist, now White Scar. I see what you did there. And speaking of white scars, let's head over to the which one? Yeah, this one. The G-Dub side of things. What's up for pre-order today? I can see some white Warcry Nightmare Quest. Yeah, we see a preview of this. The models in this are actually really darn cool looking. Lots of terrain. I like the little temple. 6 Stormcast. Pretty cool. I like the one with the lantern. I'm not crazy about the big skull heads on some of these characters. Oh, no, wrong one. Yeah, like the big skull head. I'm not crazy about big skull heads on the Sigmar models. I don't know why. The skull head, it seems more of a Space Marine thing. The Sigmarites, it doesn't feel the same. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I can see like the golden head with the beard and everything or the female face with a lion on the top, or even just a regular female face or the regular male face. Yeah, they look cool. They look heroic. Stormcast, I mean, in contrast to like, these guys should look more heroic. And yeah, and then these models, these are fantastic. We talked a little bit about these models, I think, when they showcased them. I dig the hero here, the vampire looking thing. This character, yeah. Oh, they got two things. They got options. They've got options. Pike or Lance. Hannibal Lecter or not Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, see, I like all these little dudes. These little zombie duders. I like them. The terrain's cool. You know, it's Age of Sigmar. It's you know, the forests of Gur, as it were. The Gnarlwood. Boards, data sheets, looking at the sprues. Oof. It's the full experience today. I don't see Warcry come across my desk, so I don't do videos on it. As you may or may not notice, I do cover this product line in shorts, but I do not do any unboxings or useless reviews or anything like that. And what the hell was that sound? Something bloop blooped. Something bloop blooped on me. What bloop blooped? Something went bloop bloop. I don't know what it was. Freaking me out. It's freaking me out. Anyway, all right. Any quick comments here? I'm just going to go back to the thing here in a sec. The wannabe painter, but I mean that missing a nose and hanging eye injury wouldn't look good on a hero. Sure it would. Broken nose, smashed up nose, missing nose. Yeah, tells a story, right? Hanging eye. Well, I mean the eye continually hanging. I'm sure that would get looked at. So yeah, I mean, missing the nose, hanging the eyeball. Yeah, that if that was still dangling there, I mean, like I think you'd go see a doc and put that back in or do something about it, right? But if you had like an eye patch with the missing nose, you can get that, whole thing redone. Yeah, that looks cool. If he's a good guy, looks more heroic, looks more badass. If he's the villain, looks scarier, looks more mysterious, right? So, yeah. No, scars are good. Scars. Ghost of Starman Deluxe. Got a scar in the middle of my finger about a year ago. I slipped with my hobby knife. I think, I like to think it does more damage now when I flip people off. Oh, yeah, exactly, right? Just, fuck yeah. I'll probably pick up the pyramid once it's out by itself. Yeah, the pyramid thing? Yeah, that's pretty darn cool. So we also get the Claws of Karnak. These guys are cool. I like the Beastie Duder. The guy who's on all fours. All fours. You got like a fleshhound head or a flesh head. He's got a flesh head or a fleshhound head. That's actually kind of cool. I like this other character too. See? Scars on the face. See? Scars. Yeah, I like this Beastie Duder. He's charging forward. He's doing like this whole lichen werewolf thing. Looks like right out of Underworld. For anybody who watched Underworld. All 10 of you. Yeah, they're pretty darn cool. What was the other unit? I don't remember. This one. Oh, the vampire you dudes. Eskurgan Trueblades. Because they're true. That's really cool. I don't know what else to say about that. That's just really cool. Oh, you got a little vampire bat on his shoulder. Like the back piece on the one on the left. Yeah, these are cool. Yeah, I like this one. This one's freaky deaky. I like freaky deaky. That doesn't sound quite right. What else do we got here? We got the dice, Titanicus. This is from last week, wasn't it? Soul Shackle. I like the terrain for Soul Shackle. Just because of the consoles and everything like that. Very, very nice add-ons for the set. And even if you don't play the boarding action stuff, the consoles, you can use those in other conversions, right? Tabletop terrain. If you're doing a diorama, right? Excellent bits. I like these kind of set pieces like this. Excuse me. With the whole Kill Team boarding action stuff, that has been a big one for me. Is that just the different stuff we're seeing as far as what's available, what can be done, especially when you're playing within the realm of Warhammer 40,000. All these kind of like set pieces. Like the first one had like broken pipes and stuff, and that was more within the context of the boarding actions. But then the second set, which was the second set, the one with the Imperial Guard, and that one had the crawler and the auto units and stuff like that, the bomb disposals things. And then the Soul Shackle had the consoles and stuff. And then, man, I'm forgetting all these things. There's 4 sets of these things, right? I'm getting it all confused now. I'm confused. Where's Kill Team? Kill Team. Let's see all. See all. Let me see it all. What is it? Yeah, Shadow Vaults. That's it. And it had the little doodads and the ammo crates and stuff like that. Oh, and the lockers. The lockers with all the guns. Those are just nice, bits for like doing terrain or something like that. Even just within regular 40K or a diorama or whatever. Soul Shackle. Man, I'm forgetting all the damn Kill Teams now. Into the Dark. Shadow Vaults. Gallowfall. Gallowfall has the doctor table and the escape pods and all that stuff. Again, excellent extra bits for terrain or gameplay objectives, everything like that. Like even the new what the hell's the new one called? Gallowfall. Yeah, that's a Gallowfall. Yeah, like all those escape pods, you could use those as objective markers if you wanted to. You know what I mean? Make some fun objective markers. Because there used to be a box way back when. Where is it? Yeah, there's a box that came out. I don't know if it's still sold. I kind of doubt it. Actually, I'm kind of gonna browse the 40K section here. Let's have a look at all terrain. All terrain. Yeah, there was a set. I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to show you the set I'm talking about here. Yeah, it was Sector Imperialis Objectives. Objectives. And in fact, the escape pod looks like the exact same escape pod you see in Gallowfall. I'm having a hard time remembering these names. But yeah, so you see there's the escape pod, and then it had like other bits, little communication thing, ammo. It had a nice little stasis chamber. This one was really, really cool. Has a little doctor's table, has little consoles. Again, I mean, like maybe that's where I'm thinking that this kind of stuff, is pretty cool. Now, this set was pretty old. You can see it's still rocking the old Warhammer 40,000 logo. Actually still has shrink wrap on it. That's why it looks shiny. But anyway, yeah. So a lot of fun. Comments. Russ Sandbags. Has anyone played Kill Team? Is it a good way to introduce people to 40K? Would it be better to play close combat patrol boxes in 10th? I've played Kill Team, and Kill Team is not Warhammer 40,000. It's set within the same universe, but the game mechanics are not transferable. So like how you interpret information and go about performing actions and attacks and stuff like that is not exactly the same as Warhammer 40,000. So if your goal is to get somebody into Warhammer 40,000, start them off and build an army, Combat Patrol is the way to go. And the way it sounds for 10th edition, where you can buy just basically a Combat Patrol box and start playing, all the better. That seems like a really good ease of entry for new people. And it also, I think what is the point of it all is that it is a good point of entry. And, it sets the bar as far as what it costs to get into Warhammer 40,000, which is something that really hasn't been done, because for so many years, Warhammer 40,000 has always been viewed as a very high cost of entry kind of game, right? Very, very high, very expensive. You need hundreds of dollars to just get into the game, right? It can cost you $500 to get into Warhammer 40,000. And that's pretty high. That's a pretty high investment for a game that somebody might not even really, really like, or starting an army that they might not really, really like either, or both, right? So Combat Patrols gives you plenty of opportunity. Now, I think I think what would be really fun. Now, this is for everybody at Games Workshop who is listening, which is probably nobody, but here's a free idea for y'all. You know how you have the small rule book for getting people to play Warhammer 40,000? Like, they don't have to buy the big honking rule book. You can get the small little one. Well, there also should be little small fluffy tidbits from a codex, right? So you can have the full codex, which will explain a lot of stuff, get you right into the faction, but there also should be a small condensed version, preferably something that is close to free, right? Something close to free, so that people can, get these little pamphlets and say, oh, this is the army for me. It gives you a little tidbit, gives you a little look at the armies, right? It's kind of like a mini codex, but it doesn't have any rules. It's really just for the hobbyists to get into the army and look at the available models. And of course you can also throw in your commercial, here's the cost of the boxes here, follow this link. It has the QR code on it, and people can just scan it and get right to the store and see prices of models and the start boxes and, all these things, right? It's all in this little pamphlet. And in fact, closer to free would be better, so that it gets a new person so they can peruse all the different armies, get a feeling for what these armies are about, right? Because typically when new people are getting into this, usually the only thing that kind of gets somebody into the army is how the models look, right? That's typically the first thing, and it's majority of it. And I'm sure today, even if you had these little silly pamphlets, like the little tidbits of information, I'm sure still largely the selection process will come down to whatever the individual likes, right? Whatever speaks to them on a visual, right? And afterwards they can go and look and read and, oh yeah, I like the lore on this. This makes a lot of sense to me. And that kind of thing. So that would be cool if they did that kind of thing, where it entices and gets some people a little bit of information. Basically, this should always be like little starting steps. And I think that would make Warhammer 40,000, the entry into Warhammer 40,000, a lot easier, I think. I don't know. But I mean, I could be wrong. But yeah, Kill Team being a good entry point for Warhammer 40,000, it gets you into the universe, but it doesn't really get you into the game. With the 10th edition and them using the combat patrols as start points, so that you buy a combat patrol, that's all you need to get into Warhammer 40,000, I think it's a long overdue idea. It's long overdue. There should have always been this kind of get started box that gets people into the game, right? And you get the starting paint set, and it comes, with a couple colors and a brush just to get you in. Maybe a quick little hobby guide like they used to do, right? Like the little old, painting Citadel miniature guides. One of those thrown in every box, right? Something consumable like that, or even just has QR links, right? If you buy the box, you get a little QR link and it'll take you to the site, which will give you the relevant information to, assemble, paint your collection, or the start of your collection, right? It's an amalgamation of all these different mediums, right? It seems like a lot of times that the print department is separate from the digital department, which is separate from the background writing, which is separate from the design process, which is, what I mean? Like, it seems like these are all separate entities, and they don't really seem to talk a lot. Whereas it should be more of I hate using this word, but more of a holistic approach. And that way everything is all connected. And again, because the goal here, right, is for the company is to make money. And so all these things should talk to each other so that it entices maximum amount of engagement from new people and established people and longtime veterans, right? But anyway, that's just my thoughts. Arturo Protect. I thought of making myself an Age of Sigmar army, but now the Old World and Whispers of Epic, I'm not so sure. Epic, yeah, the Whispers of Epic. Now I saw that teaser that they're going to bring Space Marine Legion, and again, you can draw your parallels. Right? Titan Legions, the Adeptus Titanicus. That was, the first foray into the big robots at the epic scale. Then, of course, Space Marine came out, and now we had thrown out some ideas as what this game was going to be called. And I personally think it's going to be Adeptus Astartes or Legion Astartes, something along those lines. That's where my head's at. That's what the title of this box set's going to be called. And it's just going to be Space Marine on Space Marine, right? Because it's the Horus Heresy. And that's what Space Marine initially did way back in the day. It was just the Horus Heresy with Space Marine on Space Marine battles, right? It was Space Marines with Rhinos and Land Raiders, Space Marines, Rhinos, and Land Raiders fighting against each other, Horus Heresy with the Titans. And then, it all built out from there. Very, very cool. But I'm waiting for the goddamn Xenoses. Where's the Xenos, right? And Chaos proper. Like with the demons and, the tentacles and spikes and everything like that. Like everything's all chaosified, right? I want the damn Xenos. Like, again, if Games Workshop, which they're not listening, yeah, I want an Eldar Titan, Phantom Titan, with all sorts of options. Revenant Titan, with all sorts of options. I want all the epic. I want all the super heavies. I want all the flyers. Everything. I want it all. I want an epic Eldari army. Bring it back. Bring it back, for God's sakes. Bring it back. Russ Sandbags. Beastgrave. Yeah, Beastgrave. Alexandru Mickle? Dude, where's your glorious face fungus? Huh? Oh, my mustache? I shaved that off a while ago. Shaved it off damn near a year ago, I think. It's been a while. I shaved it off. We talked about it. I think I did a video. I think it was just for patrons. I did a video where I was shaving it off. Pretty sure. Maybe I was planning to. No, I'm pretty sure there's a video in there somewhere of me shaving off my mustache. Something like that. Anyway. August. More time. Yeah, that's another one. That'd be a lot of fun. Dark Commission. Koi. Kris and Monkeys. Koi. What's that mean? Koi. I don't know what that means. The Wannabe Painter. I like Kill Team because it's very intense in the small map and named characters. Yes. Oh yeah. No. There's tons to like about Kill Team. Kill Team is a lot of fun. But as far as being an entry for Warhammer 40,000, the game, not the universe, right? The lore side of things, sure, it's all connected. But the game mechanics, like, it's not transferable. Like, if you become really good at Kill Team and then go over to Warhammer 40,000, completely different ball game, right? It's not the same. I would imagine Warcry and Age of Sigmar is not the same either, if we're drawing parallels like that. Because, for whatever reason, right? And that's fine. That's fine, because it being its own thing means that a whole new set of rules it's a whole different meta. It has its own models that are specific to it. And yeah, I liked initially Kill Team where you could just kind of freely create your own things. That was cool, but it was wide open, right? Whereas when you have set models for set roles, I think that plays a lot better as far as, making a more cohesive game, and especially something that you want to design like tournaments and events around. Makes a lot more sense that you have set models that represent set statistics on the tabletop. That is, I think more ideal. And Kill Team is single unit combat, right? Either be, 3 models to 12 models, right? Combat Patrol is a small engagement, right? It's 500 points. Essentially, that's kind of what the game is like. It's a 500 point, battle. It's an entry. And 500 points in Warhammer 40,000 is enough to, that's a small game, but it's enough for you to play around with some vehicles, get some heavy weapons going, some characters, right? And get into all of what Warhammer 40,000 is, as far as a game is concerned. It gives you like all these things. And now that everything's being streamlined and, put into a straightforward process, it makes it a lot easier. Now, at a smaller scale, the game probably does feel very small, simple, right? And would drive you to play bigger games. But again, the same way we have Kill Team and Warhammer 40,000, there should be an epic, or even the Return of Apocalypse, because there are many people out there who enjoy the really huge scales of combat, right? Having their entire collection out there with Titans just laying waste to units. And, when they did the last Apocalypse, that felt more like they were just trying to make Warhammer 40,000 like a playable version of Epic. That's what it kind of felt like, as opposed to the older Apocalypse, which was Warhammer 40,000, but just more destruction. So you had lots of destroyer weapons with just wiping out, massive amounts of troops and vehicles and things like that. But that's what epic should be, right? Or at least that's what combat in Warhammer 40,000 should be at that scale. Like, nobody out there is clamoring for Kill Team to have, multiple units with vehicles and stuff like that. Nobody wants that, because then you might as well just play Warhammer 40,000 at that point, right? And if you're going to play with Titans and big robots and things like that on a massive scale and have, entire companies represented on the tabletop, well, you might as well play epic at that point, right? So again, epic is needed in Warhammer 40,000. Is it needed in Age of Sigmar or even fantasy? Debatable. I don't think so. Of course, there's, Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar, the combat is not at that scale, right? In Warhammer 40,000, it's at that scale, right? Entire planets are destroyed. In Age of Sigmar, entire realms aren't destroyed. Well, unless it's catastrophic. But I mean, it's just not the same, right? The scale of carnage is not the same in Age of Sigmar as it is in Warhammer 40,000. Warhammer 40,000 has carnage at a massive scale. Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Fantasy, it's not the same. Entire planets aren't dying, right? So, Warhammer 40,000 needs the Kill Team, needs the Warhammer 40,000, and needs epic. And it should all be a little cycle. And of course, if you want to get even further into it, then it needs Battlefleet Gothic as well, or whatever future version of it is, a space combat game. It doesn't have to be Battlefleet Gothic. It can be the descendant of Battlefleet Gothic, right? So, I don't know. That's just me spitballing out ideas. Just giving that shit out for free. Hucka hey, Slanish old style, but guess not appropriate now. Haha. Slanish old style? Sure. I mean, again, it's like the Hedonites of Slaanesh, like, that's not for kids. Like, you look at some of those models and the concepts that they're displaying in those models, that's not for kids. That's not for kids. And the boxes say, not for kids. Why did I have this tab? Oh, because I was looking for the terrain, right? Yeah, no, I don't see it. But yeah, because I'm still on the games workshop. Oh yeah, because I was looking at the terrain in 40K. The objective marker. Yeah, the objective markers aren't still sold. But Kill Team. What was I talking about? It was Kill Team? I lost my train of thought. Oh, Slaanesh. Yeah, I was going to look at the Hedonites of Slaanesh. Age of Sigmar, Hedonites of Slaanesh. Where are we here? Hedonites. There we go. 32. Yeah, like a lot of these models, they're not for kids, right? Okay, never mind the fact that we're talking about hermaphrodites, half male, half female concept. Not to mention all the supposed leather gear and piercings, right? Nipple piercings, rib piercings, face piercings. We got people with their flesh peeled back. We've got, like this one here, for God's sakes, man. This is not for kids. You can't tell me that Warhammer 40,000 is for kids with a miniature that with this kind of subject matter. Buddy's nipples are pierced, or his chest is pierced, right? He's got his flesh being pulled out of him, probably his organs, being played as a harp by a big old demon who is half male, half female represented, right? Like, these are not kid concepts. This isn't Saturday morning cartoon type of concepts. These are more mature, right? So anybody who's saying that this shit is for kids entirely, not so. You just got to look at Slaanesh. Slaanesh is a more mature concept. It's still relatively PG. I mean, they can go a lot darker into these images. But as far as the representation for Slaanesh is concerned, and I'm talking like everything since the 80s, this is the best representation of it. And this is probably the best design and concepts for fleshing out this army. Because for a long time, Slaanesh forces, compared to like Khorne, Nurgle, have been lacking, with Tzeentch close behind. Korn and Nurgles, the concepts for those, there's tons of units, tons of concepts for those that have worked for many, many years. And Slaanesh and Tzeentch really haven't had it, with Slaanesh being in fourth place as far as, concept is concerned. And since Age of Sigmar, and since they've been putting out this Hedonites of Slaanesh, oh yeah, these models have been fantastic. The sculpts for all the Hedonites are awesome. Like even the contorted epitome. Very, very cool. Different. You cannot confuse that with anything else in the Age of Sigmar line. Spikies, the smooth angles, the very lithe limbs, right? Like it plays within its theme and is distinct from Nurgle, from Korn, and from Tzeentch, right? And that's what you want. You want distinct silhouettes for these sculpts. Very, very cool. Where the hell am I? Russ Sandbags. Horus Heresy needs demons. It makes total sense with the fluff. Yeah, of course. Up the ante and have Apocalypse meets Battlefleet Gothic. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Definitely having Battlefleet Gothic, right? Battles play out. You drop troops down onto the, the moon or the planet or whatever, and then you play Epic as the massive armies are landing and, battle is commencing. And then, of course, you want to play some more, a commander taking a company out and fighting. You can do that as a regular 40K game. If you want to do a commando style mission, then you go with Kill Team, right? You can play all these different scales, right? Battlefleet Gothic, Epic, Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, right? Why not? And it can all be a massive campaign. And many have talked about doing, including myself, doing a campaign where you encompass all these games. Yeah, because I play Eldari in Battlefleet Gothic, Epic. Well, I used to have an Eldari force as well as my Imperial force. In Epic 40K, I still maintain a large Apocalypse size for Eldar 40K army, as well as down to a regular size game. And then, of course, Kill Team. And with the Kill Team, you have the Void Guard, you have the Drukhari. They don't have Harlequins yet, do they? No Harlequins. That'd be interesting. A Harlequin Kill Team. What else? There's no Eldar, because there used to be where you can take Guardians, Dire Avengers, stuff like that, and make a Kill Team out of it. Then they dropped all that, and now it's just straight up what units you can take. But that's fine. It makes it clearer because, again, if they can bring the games to more of a competitive setting, that tends to solidify the game's existence, right? It keeps its longevity in play because the meta is something that can be, for lack of a better term, exploited so that they can keep the commercial viability of it moving forward, right? Again, it's the whole circle of life. It's a circle. It's not a hierarchy. It's a circle. It's always a circle, because one thing feeds the next, feeds the next, feeds the next, feeds the next, and it keeps going and it sustains. Whereas bottom level, entry, intermediate, and pro, those hierarchies can be a barrier at times especially for trying to get new people. And you always need an influx of new people, because either they get into it or they just come in with fresh funds, right? The veterans and the pros, they spend very little money. In my experience and observation, they spend very little on this hobby. Intermediates and people who end up, pursuing the meta, going to competitive events and stuff like that. Yeah, they're kind of in the middle, and competitive on one side, you can see them spending a lot of money in this hobby. And people who enjoy converting and doing painting competitions, stuff like that, they're also the people who will, keep the intermediates going, right? Keeping money going around. But again, they're not spending that much either. It's the people who are brand new to the hobby who are I'm going to go Tyranids. Oh, wait, no, I think I like Age of Sigmar better. I'm going to collect Age of Sigmar. Oh, no, I like, Kill Team. I like, you know what I mean? And there's all this back and forth with newer people. And that's fine. That's good. That's what you want, because you want these games, which, the pros and intermediates love. You want it to be sustained and new stuff to come out. If nobody's buying any products, you're not going to get new stuff. And so all these people start looking to alternatives. You don't want that either. You want everybody to stay within your own ecosystem, right? Anyway, Ghost Starman Deluxe. What are you on about, Kris? I did this all the time as a kid. Sometimes the other kids on the playground got too big for their boots. Had to teach them a lesson. Okay, right on. Yeah. I mean, like, it's just my thoughts on the way a lot of things go. Hedonites of Slanesh. Yeah, it's, I mean, Warhammer is a younger audience, but some elements within this, both Age of Sigmar and 40K, are not for kids. And the miniature hobby itself is really not for kids. It's for early teens. That's about when I got into it. I got into it when I was 13. 13? Yeah. 88, I was 13. Yeah. Aging myself here. Anyway. Oh, excuse me. All right. Let's go over to the Instagrams. Time we got here. Oh, yeah. We got plenty of time. Yeah, let's jump over to Instagram. And let's have a peek at what is the offerings today. We can see the Auditor 19, the basic contrast paint scheme for these Hero Quest minis with a little more effort on the Dread Sorcerer, but had some fun trying to paint the bases to match rooms on the board. That's interesting. I would have went for the middle of the road kind of thing for the bases. Just, going for the default kind of floor tile look. Trying to make the bases match all the boards. That's a lot of work. It can be quite tedious. And also not look right? Because if there's a room with red light and then your base is red, and then you're playing in a green light room, right? Like, it just, it's, unless of course you went with a clear base. Clear base would give you all the bases. But anyway, I really like your work on the gargoyle. That's really cool. I like that marble effect. Is that the texture, or is that painted? If it's painted, excellent work. If it's a texture and you brought it out, that's excellent work. The sorcerer is really cool. Yeah, the gargoyle reminds me of gargoyles, like the old cartoon gargoyles. Anybody remember that one? Anyone? Bueller? I like the work on the cloak on the wizard too. It's really nice work. Nice and clean. Oh, look at this ghost birdie. Just a simple paint scheme with contrast paints and dry brushed highlights for the most part. Yeah, I dig it. Yeah, it's straightforward. I mean, nothing wrong with straightforward. Like, I don't know why everybody always feels like every paint job, and myself included here. Oh, I like how the spirits are coming out of the little bodies. That's cool. I never noticed that before. Anyway, yeah, I don't know why everybody feels like every paint job, it has to be golden demon, even for people who can paint well. Yeah, it's really quite silly, especially if the piece is just for gaming, or you just wanted to paint it up for fun, or just try out something different, right? Like, every paint job does not have to be golden demon standards. Like, let's ease up a bit, people. Let's give ourselves some wiggle room. Just a basic contrast paint scheme for these Hero Quest minis. Had some fun trying to paint the bases to match rooms on the board. Oh yeah, see, again, the red checkers and the cobblestone. Yeah, I mean, like, that's tough. I like the painting. Again, straightforward, and it's a board game. And you're people are most likely going to be grabbing these, whipping them around, dropping them, all that, right? And you don't want to spend hours upon hours on each little model, especially if it's a game piece, and especially if you're playing with friends or whatever, and it's going to get dropped, dice are going to hit it, and all these things, right? No, I like straightforward paint jobs. I appreciate a speedy paint job. Yeah, look at this. Simple paint scheme with contrast paint, dry brush highlights for the most part. Very cool. Again, straightforward. Painting does not always have to be getting the smoothest blends, using the right colors, whatever. Just get it done. Oh, look at this. Finished these during my local gaming club's recent Necromunda campaign, having some fun with Dirty Down Rust. Very cool. Yeah, I like them. Straightforward. convincing. The one on the right, I like how it has that light orange with the brown. That looks cool. The one on the left looks good. Looks like rusty yellow. The one on the right looks like actual rust. Yeah, these are cool. Straightforward. Again, it's probably just what? Base coat, shade wash, use the, what is it? The dirty down rust, and then quick dry brush, pick out edges and stuff, right? Again, with scenery bits and stuff like this, like atmosphere, you don't have to spend a lot of time, and it's a lot of times it is your own brushwork and what materials you're using to achieve your desired result. And yeah, no, I like it. Oh, look at this guy. Another endless spell from the Soul Mason to cast. Ossiarch Bone Reaper's Bone Tithe Shrieker. That's a mouthful. Just a simple paint scheme with contrast paints and dry brushed highlights for the most part. Did I give the last one a like? I did. Yeah, I like this. It looks like he's wearing a dunce cap, if I'm being honest. But that's not on your painting. That's on the design. I like it. It's an interesting choice that you went with more of a bone as opposed to the, making the skulls look like the vapor, like the little contrails, and then the stone being, separate. Just an interesting choice. I probably would have painted the skulls the same color as the vapors or created a color blend, a transition through the skulls. So it looks like, they're coming into reality, but then they have like the smoky, wispy ghost trail thing behind it. Simply mini painting Plague Marine Champion inspired by Darren Latham. Very cool. I like colors. I like the vibrant green. Yeah. Is that OSL you're doing? Oh, yeah, it's OSL. Okay. It's a little heavy, the OSL. The intensity. The head would be more intense, reflecting light, as opposed to the backpack, as that's further away. Now, if it was really, really highly reflective, then there would be a lot of light gathered. But because you're not painting it to look entirely reflective, it would just be that ambient glow. Yeah, it wouldn't be quite as intense on the shoulder, on the backpack. Very cool though. Nice paint job. Oop, shit. Like, yes. The Auditor 19 finished these during the local gaming club's recent Necromunda campaign, finally completed all of the terrain elements that came in the original starter box for the current edition. Again, having a little fun with Dirty Down Rust. Let's give that a like. Yeah, little consoles. I like the effect you did for the displays on the consoles. Very, very nice. Went for that slightly gem effect with the little text on it. Very cool. Like the writing on the scroll work in the middle. Tentacle thingy. The ammo crates. Yeah, I really like your work on the consoles. I like that. That's good. Straightforward, effective. I know I've got so much Necromunda terrain I got to get to. Been trying to get through all the into the dark terrain, all the walls. I haven't even started painting all that stuff yet of mine. I may or may not film it as I go, just because if I don't film it, then I can get through it a lot quicker. The Auditor 19, time to add a generic leader to my general for the Path of Glory campaign. Mortisan Soul Masons are just a really cool support piece, especially now that they're lore masters, painted the same as my other Bone Reapers, contrast paints with highlights. Just to a bit more time with the blends on this cloak and other bits around the model. Cool. He's got like walkie leg chair thing. That's one way to get around. Very cool looking model. Me likey. Yeah, spending the extra time on something like the cloak and gemstones and things like that, yeah, definitely pays off in the long run. Especially when you have somebody who's admiring your work and they're like, "Oh wow, look at this! You even got this here and done." All that. Yeah. It's just a way of impressing your friends. And who doesn't like impressing their friends? Blue Skull Studios, the Red Angel, sculpted by Artel W, one of the absolute favorite models. So I assume this is not the original. No, because it doesn't. Some of the details look a little bit soft on the face. Cool pose. Very, very cool. Yeah. Finished off the other unit that I started last year, Kanan's Reapers. Kanan himself is still on the paint station. Looking forward to using these now that their Age of Sigmar rules have had a glow up. Just a basic contrast parade ready scheme for these guys. Yeah, I like the color scheme. In fact, because the bone is so bright, I probably would have went with a slightly deeper red, more vermilion, crimson than red. But that's just me. Oh, look at this. I like the nice clean. Final set of Azurite Ruins wall sections for the local gaming club. Yeah, very nice. We've been seeing these. A lot of work done on these. I like the clean approach to it. I like the bright color. Oh, very cool. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, look at this guy from Alex. While on newborn night shift duty, I managed to finish my wife's centerpiece model. This thing is so big and lanky, it is hard to take any photos that did the sculpt justice. Very, very cool. I like the color scheme. The dark with the blending of orange to yellow. I like the bright red claws. Looks scary. I like the light gray. Really brings out all the texture. And this one is a Forge World model, is it not? Forge World Tyranids tend to have a lot of texture, especially when you get into like the little tendons and everything like that, like the little where joints are and tendons would be. Yeah, it always has like a really textured up surface. Very cool. I like a lot of the sculpt from Forge World as far as the Tyranids are concerned. And as far as what was you saying, photographing it, taking photos, yeah. A cheap, easy way of getting like a decent backdrop. Just head over to your local big box store and pick up a couple sheets of Bristol board. Pick up white, light blue, lime green, whatever colors you want, or pick them all up, and then experiment playing with your backdrops. Because they're pretty big, especially even a model like this, which looks like it's probably about 10 inches tall. Yeah, you still can get some really good results with just using a Bristol board as your backdrop. You know how I know you can get some decent results? Because that's what I do. That's all I do. I use Bristol board and just swap it out. I have black, blue, green. If I want to do some, masking. Yeah. Auditor 19 finished another 5 Mortar Guard, spurred on by the local gaming club's Path to Glory campaign. I wanted to finish off the unit I started last year. Just a basic contrast, parade-ready scheme for these basic aligned troops. Give that a like. Yeah, I like them. Again, my previous comment still stands. I think I would go with a deeper red. Vermilion. Ooh. Yeah, I really like the look of the Age of Sigmar terrain with a clean paint job. I like the look. It reminds me more of like Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it reminds me of more of that kind of terrain. Objectives. Very cool. Simply mini pinning. I got your vaccine right here. Biologist putrifier inspired by Darren Latham. Cool. I like the base, I like the dripping ooze on the skulls. Yeah. I think one thing I would have done differently here is the ooze in the body is a little too close to the syringe. I think the syringe should be a slightly different value. Even if you were trying to indicate that the ooze is the same fluids that are flowing in his body, I think should have been a little bit different. I think it's just a darker and I think a little bit brighter on the syringe, the liquid in the syringe. Yeah. Just to so that the eye, because from this angle, it gets lost. The syringe gets lost, right? When it's all the same level of intensity. See, at this angle, it's not so bad because it looks more like the vial that he's holding in his hand, and he's like refilling that syringe up with that. It's like butterfly wings. That's what it looks like back here. It looks like butterfly wings. It's like, oh, he's got pretty wings. How pretty. Very, very cool. And then we get this jerks post. And then, yeah, oh, perfect timing. We are all caught up on the Instagram side of things. And so I am going to take a moment here because I've been busy the last couple weeks. I've introduced a new little member to my household. She just pee-peed and woke up. This is my little pooch, Maeve. She's a mutt. She's from the Sooner breed. Oh, and she's still a puppy, and she still wants to bite. She just had her weigh-in. What was that, yesterday?
Yeah, 16 pounds.
16 pounds of puppy. And she's nibbling on my ears. She sleeps. Oh, she's just coughing on me. She's giving me COVID. She's giving me puppy COVID. She got her shots yesterday. She took her first walk yesterday. She's nice and healthy. She's heavy. Yeah. Yeah, I've got lots of videos. I haven't shared them, but yeah, I've got videos of this little girl. Little girl. This is Maeve. Queen Maeve. Mavie. What's some other names? So Baby girl.
Queen Maeve's more like it.
Yeah, Queen Maeve. Yeah, she is a little princess. She's not. Well, she may be Princess Maeve, I guess. But. But yeah. Oh, geez, Louise. You see yourself? Look at who's that puppy on the screen. Look at who's that on the screen. No, she doesn't see herself. She doesn't see technology. Nom 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 nom. Yeah. So, oh, she's biting. I've got plenty of like scratch marks and stuff like that from her. Because she's got those little puppy claws and they freaking hurt. Freaking hurt, man. Got tongue mark on my glasses now. But anyway, yeah. This is my doggy. She's been it's like having a baby in your house again. You gotta constantly monitor her, make sure she doesn't get into crap, make sure she's not biting into cords and all these things. Okay? This is where Daddy is all the time. Oh, big yawn. Okay, you ready to go back outside? Or are you going to get a drink? No? You go outside? Go outside. Oh, she's tired. It's pretty warm out today, so she enjoys laying in the patio and just relaxing and taking in the sun. Of course, got to chase her around the yard, work a poop out. But we're still getting into the walks phase of things. All right, here. Go. Okay, go. Don't pee on my floor. Don't you dare pee on my floor. I can't really let her in my office because I've got like tons of little plastic bits and all sorts of chemicals in my office. You know, I got cleaners and stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, she doesn't venture down into my basement often. She goes up and down the stairs to my bedroom and everything like that just fine. She won't come downstairs though. She doesn't come down here. Normally though, I have like a humidifier running, so it makes a lot of noise and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah, so puppy. It's puppy time. And I got to clean my glasses now because she licked them. She licked them. She got them. She got them. She got me. Ha, got him. I'm gonna take a time out here. Time out. What time are we at here? Almost 1? I can't see without my glasses. I'm practically blind without my glasses. Anyway, there we go. Nice and clean. Pretty as a picture. Holy man. Must have been a while since I cleaned my glasses. Everything just seems really bright now. For all of you glasses wearers out there, isn't that always such a nice experience when you clean your glasses, put them on, you're like, holy crap, is that what everything looks like? You look at your friends and you're like, oh my God, is that what you actually look like? Where am I here in these comments? Oh man, I think she scratched me. I think I got to scratch my face. Hold on. She got me what is it on this side? Yeah, you can still see a scratch right there. That was last week. She got me. Got a couple fresh ones, but yeah, she's gotten me pretty good just from her claws and her teeth. Yeah, just from playing and everything like that. Puppy. If you've never had a puppy, you just own cats, well, cat owners are clawed up anyway, especially when the kittens. Yeah. Anyway. Comments. Russ Sandbags. Do you have any tips on making paint more opaque? I've been having trouble with acrylics being too transparent. Layers and acrylic medium mixed in, making something more opaque. Opacity is often the characteristic that is made when the paint is first created. Pigment in itself, right, is opaque. Unless, of course, you get into, the more transparent colors, right, which is often the realm of more toxic acrylics, alcohol-based paints, and, of course, water-based acrylics, like any of the contrast paints or any of the like Army Painter and competitors who are making clear paints. Those kind of pigments, I'm not 100% sure what kind of pigment is used to create a transparency, but regular opaque colors, the pigment itself is just, if you're thinking of it more of, on the scale of atoms, regular opaque paint, the pigment is bigger. I assume I'm talking out of my ass at this point that with the transparency, either the pigment is smaller, more of it, or it's just simply less dense. But again, for clarity, like a really good transparent color, you can see through it like water, right? But it's that color versus opaque, which you can't see. So making a paint more opaque, that would be a challenge because as you thin a paint down, it becomes less opaque. Now, when you're painting miniatures, we often work in very thin layers because we want to maintain smoothness as well as not obscuring detail, right? So when you work with a thicker paint on a miniature and you apply it fairly thick, what happens? You obscure the details, right? You soften edges and everything like that. And so when you use other techniques, layering, dry brushing, stuff like that, that all becomes very apparent. And sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Again, it's all about what your end result is, or what your final goal is. So Russ, I'm kind of having a bit of trouble here. Like, why would you want a paint to be more opaque? You want it to be more opaque so that when you thin it, it doesn't allow more light through. Unfortunately, that is going to be the case, right? If you can think about any material on this planet, you cut it thin enough, light will pass through it, right? Just about every material other than rock, or even depending on the stone, depending on what the stone's made of, right? Light will pass through it. So, again, it really shouldn't be a question of opacity. It should be a question of how much coverage do you need. Also, why do you need more opacity in a color? If, for example, here, you would want more opacity in a color if you were priming black and you were laying yellow or white or bright red or bright blue or any bright color, right? You want more opacity because you're applying it on top of a dark base. But instead, why not just simply work from a mid-tone or even a white primer and paint your bright colors on top of there? It's always easier to start with the brightest color and build downwards than it is to start with the darkest colors and build up to the brightest, right? Like if your color scheme is Imperial Fists, which is a bright yellow typically, starting from black is a complete pain and is a waste of your time. Why would you even do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. To start, if your color scheme is bright, right? Like what does Kris say? If your color scheme is bright, you prime it white, right? So if you need more opacity in your color, it's because your colors are too dark and you're having to work up more layers. And of course, more layers means thicker paint. You don't really want to do that in miniature painting. You want to keep your layers down. So priming white, or at least an off-white or even a mid-tone gray, is the more ideal step. And in fact, going with a mid-tone gray actually is the better route, because when you prime white and you're working under bright lights, sometimes it's hard to see the details. And same with black. If you're priming it with a black and you're trying to get into those details, sometimes the shadows are a little too harsh. Or if your light is not bright enough or in the right place, it casts really, hard shadows on your model surface, and that can throw you off. Whereas with a mid-tone gray, you get the best of both worlds. You get a little bit of shadow, so you get some depth information as far as where color should go, and also you can still build brighter colors on top of it without having to go all the way to a black and have to build up huge amounts of paint, right? So I don't know if that really kind of answers your question, Russ. Really, my first initial question is what are you painting, and why do you need the paint to become more opaque? Because that's like saying I'm painting black, but this black isn't black enough. I need more black, and all you have to do is just like you want to lay fewer layers down. Is that what your goal is? Like that? What is that? What you want? You want just like one and done? In which case, it's really whatever paint line is doing that for you, and that might require a bit of experimentation. But otherwise, if your goal is to take more time in your painting to a display, to the competitive type standard, then no, you should be working from a brighter value initially and building down, or starting at the middle, build up and down, right? Again, I apply that kind of theory across a lot of my miniatures. I start off with the mid-tone value, build a shadow downwards, build a highlight upwards. That's it, right? I don't start from a pure black. Especially because most of the time I like bright color schemes. So working in a black, not really ideal, because you just got to put down so many layers of paint just to build up some decent coverage. Too bright, then you build everything down to a black, right? So like if you prime white, but you want really contrasty, dark black shadows, you got to build down to that, and that requires a lot of work, but it allows you a lot more control versus starting from black. Black, you're just leaving black primer in those shadows, right? Like, again, it's all about your approach to painting. And Russ, I'm curious as to like, why do you need a paint to become more black or more opaque? More opaque. Because as you thin a paint down, it's inherently, any paint line, you thin it down, it's going to become more transparent. But typically you want to thin it down as you apply, because you want to maintain control and flat, even coverage. Ghost of Starman Deluxe. Love the black and orange carapace on the Dimicarian. I can't remember what the hell the name. Yeah, it's Fordle, yeah. Inyabu. Oh my god, Doggo. Yeah, Pooch. Yeah, Hiroki Pooch. Poochies. Yeah, the Poochies, man. It's the Poochies. Raziel. Kris. Been a while. Looking good. Thank you. Pro Acryl makes nice transparent. Yeah, I have the Pro Acryls. I bought those, actually. I paid for them. They weren't part of a promo or anything like that. I bought them because I was curious about them, and they looked really good. And I had tried one of the other transparency. I think the last time I was at Adepticon, and I was talking with Jason. And so I gave them a try. I like them. Very, very strong pigment. Like very, very saturated. You have to thin those out if you want to slowly build up, because using them right out of the bottle, it's a little too intense. It's a little too intense right away. You got to build up to it. It's better to build up than too much and try to correct or strip and have to start over. And it's always better to gradually build up to something. And that way, as you gain more experience slowly building up to an effect, you can see where your cutoff point is and what you like, right? Versus if you just hit it with a really maximum amount, and you go, oh, I don't like that. And then you got to start over. And then you got to try and reduce it. And you're building a bunch of layers on top of it to try and knock that effect down, versus slowly building up to it. Because when you slowly build up to it, you can see where the tipping point is. And when you know where that tipping point is, because you're experienced in doing it so often, that you can reach that point without going over what you like to do, right? Versus if you're using it straight out of the bottle, it can be too much right away. And you go, oh, well, this sucks. And then I had to backtrack the color. I had to paint over it and start over. And you know what I mean? And every time you start over and you're just simply covering it over with more primer, more base coat, whatever, that's more layers of paint you're building up, right? If your concern is not disrupting the surface and obscuring details, you do not want to work in many layers of paint. You want to work in the fewest amount of layers of paint as possible, right? That's how you're going to maintain fidelity of the sculpt. Fire Drake, what's up, everyone out? And just wanted to drop a like. Well, thank you, Fire Drake. Russ Sandbags, you hit it on the head with the base spray coat and then building on it. Painting currently on a light base spray and putting metallic on top, but it's taking forever. Okay, so you want the metallic to be more opaque? I don't know how you make a metallic more opaque, because metallic pigment is very opaque because it reflects most of the light coming that hits it, right? Again, because pigment is simply atoms and how they interact with light. That's how we do it. Until we get to a point where the surface of a surface we can treat as a nano surface, right, with many holes, because how we perceive color can also be the shape in which how light bounces off of its surface. So if something was at nano surface with holes, that can cast all sorts of reflections back to you. So pretty soon they'll be able to just put a nano surface on something, and that is the color. And it's not actually the pigment. It can actually be the surface of the material itself. So imagine iron, and you put this nano surface on it that it reflects red. That can be done. And all it is just little tiny dots or holes in the surface. And how we perceive that back, because it's how light bounces around in the surface and what comes back to us. So it's not even, that paint wouldn't even be necessary if you apply this nanotechnology on the surface of whatever you're working on. You can cast it in a single color. Now, once that's mastered, yeah, you can even create an action figure where its surface is just these little dots, and it can be blue hat, flesh colored face, orange vest, gray pants, right? And you have all these different colors going on, and all it is just the texture of the surface of the actual material that casts this light back at us. Because again, it's all how we perceive light on bouncing back off of a surface. That's the colors we see, right? It's not the actual colors. It's because if we saw in different spectrums of light, we would perceive things very differently, right? If we perceived more UV, the world would look very different to us. It'd be a lot less color, really. And if we saw more towards the infrared, so much information would also be lost as well. So yeah, it's actually kind of nice that we can see the spectrum of color, right? But anyway, Rezia, I seem to remember this conversation from 5 years ago. Well, sure. These conversations are always going to be circular. Again, it's always circular. And miniature painting and painting in general, like 500 years, is not really changed. So the conversations that we're having today, conversation they had 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, it's all the same. Rust Sandbags. I've seen some colors like the Vanta Black and the carbon fiber nanotubes. Yeah, the nanotubes and stuff, and the Vanta Black. Yeah. Now, how they go about absorbing all the light, I'm sure has to do with whatever pigment or whatever process is for creating that paint. I have no idea. I've not really experimented with it. And using that black on a miniature, real world examples don't look as convincing. Because again, it's the surface, and a miniature has an organic quality to it. There's curvatures, straight edges, right? Light plays differently on that surface versus if you just took a Bristol board and painted it black, right? That's just going to absorb all that light because you're only looking at one facet. Whereas on a miniature, right, there's many facets on that surface in which light plays on it and bounces off. And again, it's not going to read the same. So using a color that is absorbing all the light, and again, once you start mixing it with other colors, if you can do that, it changes its properties and it loses all of its supposed abilities, right? David Vaughn, what do you do? What do you do to get ideas or inspiration for coming up basing models? I'm working on a tile set and I'm getting mental block pretty bad. Tired of using dirt and grass tufts. Well, that's entirely up to you. And I mean, for basing models, one is if you have a game table at home, then just base it like your game table. If you go to a gaming club and they have various tables, surfaces, then kind of the average, right? Whatever table you end up kind of like playing on, which is different from your home table, maybe, whatever, right? Or you're telling a story and all your warriors are, say, from, the same planet kind of thing. Or it's imagined planet, or, whatever it is. It's entirely up to you. And another way to go about it is you can go about it like in a display or competition type of mentality, where the base is the frame to the miniature, and the base can be complementary colors to the main model itself, so that it frames the model more clearly and it stands out. Again, these are all personal preference. It's all personal preference. Thinking of it in terms of right or wrong, you're just going to get hung up, and you're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to spin your tires and not do anything as you deliberate on what it is that you're trying to accomplish, versus taking a much more straightforward approach to it. Either paint it like your table at home, paint it more like your game tables at your club, or to frame the miniature. So if the miniature is say, for example, blue, right? It's predominantly blue, like an ultramarine. The base, where it's more pushes towards orangey, yellowy browns, will frame the model better, or even greens, right? Light greens, yellow will play with the blue. Even reds will play nicely with the blue, right? What base color won't work very nicely with a blue model? A blue gray won't work very well. If it's kind of more space wolfy type of gray, that's, I mean, again, snow base, depending on what the undercolor is. If it's just a pure white, that'll frame the model nicely. But if you have, say, like blue rocks, or say if you're going for that really blue snow, like you have blue shadows in the snow, if you lean too heavy into that can kind of throw the eye off. But again, the strong white will play nicely. Again, it's really entirely up to you as far as how you want to base your models. Just pick whatever scheme makes sense, which looks good for your miniatures. If you can't think of anything as far as a game table, you don't have a game table, you don't really game out too often, but you want to collect your army and you want it to all look really good, then just paint it whatever colors make sense to you aesthetically. And even basing your models differently in through a unit, if you don't play, paint them all differently. Experiment. That's the only way you're going to learn, is experimenting and seeing what works and what doesn't work. What makes sense to you aesthetically and what doesn't make sense to you aesthetically. Again, painting is largely subjective. It's entirely up to the viewer, right? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Not the big multi-eyed thing, but you, the beauty is in your eye. You determine what looks good to you, right? But always remember, what looks good to you does not look good to somebody else. That's fine. That's fine. So, yeah. David Vaughn, yeah. So using dirt and grass tufts, yeah. I mean, if you're tired of that and you want to go for something different, then yeah, do something different. Tau, I mean, doing desert, doing snow, doing jungle, you know what I mean? Like, man. And imagine, like, in Warhammer 40,000, alien worlds that who even thought of. Like, imagine a planet that had purple dirt, right? You don't see any purple bases, do you? I mean, sometimes you'll see purple flowers or a purple liquid, maybe, right? But you don't see like purple dirt. How come we don't see purple dirt? I'm sure an alien world out there would have purple dirt somewhere, right? Why not? It's only a lack of imagination that stops somebody from doing that. That's the only reason. That's the only reason to not use purple on a base. It's a lack of imagination. In which case, just paint. You didn't paint. Use grass tufts and sand, and keep going. And don't give it a second thought. There's nothing wrong with using sand and grass tufts. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Raziel, take care, monkeys and monkey lord. I'll try to check in again sometime soon. Sure. Arturo Pretend. Mini painted with Venta Black would be expensive as fuck. Also, almost at GW level of expensive. Zach needs a life. Looking good. Thank you. Talking about me. You hit on me? Where are we here? What time we at? Oh, 20 after 1. Yeah, you know what? We got 2 emails to do. Let's do emails. I still have not transferred over my sound files for the email jingles. So I am email time. And of course, normally we say huge thank you to Carl, aka Beer and Blood Bowl, for making those jingles, taking time out of his busy day, even though he is no longer with us. So we will take time to thank Carl, even though we're not playing his jingle, but we will soon enough. I know you'd think since the last time I did this that I would have all of this prepared, but I don't. Anyway, oops. I don't mean to do that. Hold on. I had this all set up last time. God damn it. I had the email set up. How did I mess this up? Did I do it this way? Nope. All right, screw it. Do it live. Screw it. We'll do it live. Hold on here. I know. Here we go. All right. This is from John Gordon. Hey, hope your day is going well. Here is a Chaos Knight Abominant painted in the Iron Warrior scheme. Would love to know what I could do to make it look better. The body is painted with Sculpt Nouveau Iron Coating B, which is iron as pigment in the binder. I then use Modern Masters Rust Activator to rust all the body paint so it is a true Iron Warrior. The black is Rublev Black, Bone Black. It is an oil paint made from animal bones that has been charred and ground into pigment. It is from naturalpigments.ca. The base is reharvested peat plastic that I put copper paint that has bits of copper in it and then sprayed it Modern Masters blue patina to age the copper. The silver is actually golden heavy body acrylic iridescent steel. It's actual steel suspended in an acrylic medium. It is very thick, but it has it's very cool to use. I like my paints more than my painting skills, but but would love some advice. Thanks, John. Man, it sounded like a commercial for a bunch of different paints to use. Oof. Let's see here. Can I zoom in? Let me zoom in. There we go. Wow, that is some rustification. Can I move this over? Oh no, I need to move this over. There we go. Yeah, like look at the gun and the arms. That is some heavy duty rust. Duty. And yeah. It's very, very interesting. On the gun and the tentacle arms and the internal structure, very, very interesting. It is very heavy on the body parts. On the gun and the whip arm, it feels a bit more realistic, although it is really heavy. I don't know if I would have went that heavy on the internal structure, the skeleton of this beast. The plasma coils in the gun, I don't know if they'd be that rusty. I think that would have been better if they were picked out so that they were, still a color of some sort or look like some other material rather than, the same material as the rest of the arm. Yeah, I'm the visual contrast between how rust the body is and in the armor plates, it feels like a disconnect. I think the armor should be slightly rusty at least, as opposed to being really clear and clean. The pipes up on the shoulder, I think, should also be of a similar rust as as what you got going on. The yellow is very, very bright. It's very interesting, and it's a fun exercise in using these different materials to paint your model. The black, it appears to be fairly heavy. Now, was that the paint that you were saying that was kind of goopy? Because like I can see like it's laid a texture on that surface, and as I was mentioning before, you really don't want too much texture on the model surface. Now, if this is a gaming piece, fantastic. Keep going. Looks fine. If this is for a competition or anything like that, no, I definitely would recommend more time spent on certain areas. Like the internal structure, the skeletal structure of the machine just feels too rusty, and it honestly looks like it should be stuck in place. Like that's how the level of rust on this thing, it looks like it should be like a statue. And in fact, this would look really good, I think, on like a big statue piece, like that big Space Marine statue, something like that. But yeah, the black, I can see like it looks really, really heavy. I'm not a big fan of that. And the rust feels like this model should be just stuck in place. It doesn't feel like he can still move. You know what I mean? You know how like when pistons and the actuators and stuff like that, knee joints, right? Those would all remain still clear. They wouldn't be rusty. The only time that the rust would gather on those pistons is when they're not in use. Look at any farm equipment or construction equipment, right? That looks really rusty. You'll see there's still points on it that are still shiny. And it wouldn't be the big armor plates. It would be the parts where that move, right? The toe joint hinges, pistons, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that black. It's really, really glossy. I mean, it provides a visual contrast. But yeah, what is it? Rublev colors. Bone black. Interesting. Yeah, these are very, very interesting products. Using an actual solution to get a patina on a copper. Very, very cool. That's the email. Okay. So yeah, any advice? It's really more like it's playing around with the material to create your effects. Absolutely have a ball. But it really is the goal. Now, if the goal was to try these materials out and see what your result is, mission accomplished. Very, very interesting. The rust effect looks really awesome. It feels like there's too much rust on a lot of points. Again, like I said, it feels like this thing should be just rusted solid. Like this thing is a statue and it's just been stuck there for, well, it's like Tin Man, Wizard of Oz, right? And yeah, being a bit more deliberate. The yellow is so strong. It's almost it almost feels like out of place. Again, like there's a lot of ideas going on here. And but I mean, like, I imagine this got finished really quickly. But yeah, I think the rust in the body itself overdone. The armor plates, I don't think match the rest of the body. The yellow is just too strong and too flat. The coils on the gun arm should have been picked out, and the rust on the body and stuff like that, pistons, everything like that, would be free of rust if this thing was still moving around. And the armor plates itself should have some rusting on it, just to unify it. But I think the rust on the main body itself is just a little too intense. I like it on the gun and the tentacle arm, but on the body itself, it's just a little bit much. A lot of detail gets lost. But again, I mean, like if this was just an experiment and you were just playing with it and it was just for giggles, then it looks fantastic, right? Keep going, But yeah, it's a little too much. But thank you, John Gordon, for sending that in. Awesome stuff. Next one is from our good buddy Kim. Hello, Monkey King and monkeys. A few things I painted after the New Year's, all tabletop. Cheers. Now, Kim posts a lot in the Discord. He shares a lot of his work there. So if you like to keep up on Kim's work, because, I mean, his work is good. It's fast, straightforward, and gets excellent results. And yeah, I like this model. He's really clean. I like the color scheme. I'm sure it's the flash on the camera that washes some of that color out. Very, very interesting. I like the banner. I like what you did with the banner there. I like that blue edge on the icon. I like that. That looks cool. I dig it. I don't know if I'd have went with green though, because I mean, like this has obviously a very Slaanesh Hedonite kind of vibe. I don't know if I went with green because green is more nurgly, right? Especially when you go with darker, paler, desaturated kind of greens. I mean, the classic trinity of Slaanesh colors, right, is what? Light blue, light red, and light yellow. Pastel, right? Pastel colors. If you're going to play within the classic traditional sense of the color schemes. So basically a pink, pastel blue, pastel yellow. And yeah, so I think the cloth and the banner didn't have to be green. And in fact, if you wanted to, I mean, you could have went with the blue, could have went with, playing within that realm. Even that light yellow. Well, the light yellow would have been a bit much, I think. But if the banner was painted like it was more like a light off cream colored cloth, I think that would have worked well. Of course, it might conflict with some of the brightness on the model, but the faces seem to be pretty bright. A lot of work was put into the faces. Yeah, I don't know if green was the right color. And again, like because some of the models, like I realize it is Hedonites of Slaanesh, and they are a riot of colors. But yeah, I don't know if green was the right color. I like the color with the blue and the pink and the upper portion. I like all that. But when you take it all in with the green, I don't know. Yeah, like almost like what you did the fur. See how you have that really light bone color for the fur, which plays in that realm of yellow? That would have been better, I think, for the cloth bits. Like the scales and buddy in the back there in the lower corner. Ooh, a bust. Very nice. Nice work on the visor. Building that gradient out like that. Nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, very cool. Anywho, thank you, Kim and John, for sending emails in. Awesome stuff. Gotta be careful. I can't show that window with my emails on it because got something happening. Possible collab coming up soon. Maybe not too soon, but yeah. Collaboration. Another collaboration. Possible collaboration. Don't know. Hard to say. Might not go anywhere. Might go somewhere. A lot of ideas and such. So, yeah. It's going to be fun, though. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Arturo, fluorescent is more Slaaneshi or more Tzeentch? Fluorescent colors? That's hard to say. I get it's kind of context, right? Because you can see for Slaanesh vibrant colors, for example, like a noise marine, right? Bright, vibrant. It's like a harlequin, right? Where it's just riots of color, right? And that feels very Slaanesh to me, just a riot of color. But classic Slaanesh color scheme was pastel colors, soft pink, soft blue, soft yellow. Now, I don't know if they've really stepped away from it because they feel like still a lot of colors of the color scheme still feels more towards very pastel, light, soft colors. Nothing wrong with it. It's all part of the scheme, right? Slaanesh, or Tzeentch, vibrant fluorescent colors. Yeah, magical power, right? Mystical energies moving around, glowing energy, right? Like Slaanesh, you don't imagine a lot of glowing entities. But Tzeentch, very easy to imagine pink and blue horrors glowing, right? Flamers as Tzeentch, that magical fire, just bright and it's all over the place. The Lord of Change, his wings just being this magnificent glowing light of energy emanating from it, right? Like you can imagine all these really great things. And so fluorescent colors being part of Tzeentch color schemes, absolutely. Being part of Slaanesh colors, Absolutely. Corn, a little bit harder, but you can make it work. Nurgle, probably the toughest, yet not, because you could also make the power of the plague glow, right? You could go with a dark color scheme on a Nurgle model and have all the pus and all that kind of glowing from it, right? So it has this kind of warp energy vibe to it. So again, with painting, you are only limited by your imagination. That's it. That's the only limitation, is your imagination. If you can't imagine it, well, it mustn't be possible. Or it's a lack of imagination. One of the two. But yeah, making fluorescent colors work for any of the chaos powers? Sure, right? Now, the one where you might get resistance is a fluorescent Space Marine chapter, right? Like a proper loyal chaos, sure, because you're already talking chaos and there's already craziness going on, right? But with a proper Space Marine chapter in a fluorescent color scheme, that one you could probably get some pushback, especially if you went with, like, say, a proper fluorescent magenta Space Marine. Can you see it? Can you see the fluorescent Space Marine? Fluorescent blue. It's hard to tell fluorescent blue from regular opaque blue, just because it just shines the same amount of light back at you. Fluorescent yellow, chartreuse. You definitely see that because it hurts the eyes. Fluorescent magenta and orange hurt the eyes as well. Fluorescent orange. Imagine a fluorescent orange Space Marine. I can see it. Fluorescent orange? I can see fluorescent orange. Oh, excuse me. What's another one? There's no fluorescent white. There's no fluorescent black. What's another fluorescent color? Oh, fluorescent green. Fluorescent green. That's another one. Right? Fluorescent green Space Marine. So, in fact, you know what? I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to do a quick Google search. I want to see if anybody has actually done it, because, I mean, I know you were just asking about it, but let's see. Ha! Here we go. We got fluorescent colors on Space Marines. Oh, what's this? Is that a proper? No, I think that's all Citadel colors. Yeah, that's all Citadel colors. It's not fluorescent. Pansexual Pride Flag Power Armor. Yeah, it's not fluorescent though. I mean, it's Citadel colors and it's a bright color scheme, but it's not fluorescent. I'm talking fluorescent, like synthwave. Yeah, like this. I'm looking at a what the hell are these assholes called? Blade Guard. Oh no, there we go. Blade Guard. Yeah, that's fluorescent colors, right? It's all kind of just to go for the glow, but yeah. Fluorescent colors is more for effect. Regular Space Marine. Yeah, see, these are all they're bright color schemes, but they're not fluorescent. I'm talking like fluorescent orange, yeah, like this. But I don't think this is fluorescent orange. This is probably just contrast orange, right? Like, it's a bright orange, but it's not fluorescent orange. Because fluorescent orange will look like this kind of thing. Right? Especially if you had other elements on the model that were dark and you just went up for fluorescence and, you know. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Pink Necrons. It's like Hello Kitty. Cool. And yeah. But nothing I've seen. Fluorescent Space Marines. Somebody needs to make that happen. Fluorescent Space Marines. Fluorescent orange Space Marines. Come on. Let's see it. Let's make it happen, people. Make it happen. And then tag me in it. Russ Sandbags, episode 500, live battle report? Maybe. I don't know. Possible. Episode, what are we at? What's today's episode title? What is today's episode title? We're episode 398. So 2 more episodes. So that's at least 4 weeks away, going by our current revised schedule. Mine. I'm the one who does this. So anyway, but yeah, a battle report, that's possible. Live battle report, that is possible. David Vaughn, I forget what chapter it is, but the Space Marine chapter that has the pretty boy as their Primarch with the purple colors could probably get away with fluorescent colors. Emperor's Children? Yeah. Emperor's Children? They're pink. And yeah, or kind of a purpley pink. And yeah, I mean, sure, you do fluorescent. I mean, like you could do, what orange, is there an orange chapter of Space Marines? Fluorescent orange, right? A yellow chapter, iron or Imperial Fists, fluorescent yellow. Sure, you could do that, right? I'm just thinking of all of these kind of abominations of colors. Yeah, it's kind of getting my gears turning as far as working out a color scheme. Because you don't see a lot of fluorescence in miniature painting. I like it just for creating effects and, playing around with light and everything like that, But, yeah. I mean, imagine a whole Space Marine. Imagine a Land Raider painted in, like, fluorescent orange. Oh, man, you couldn't even look at it. You wouldn't be able to look at it. It would be just too damn bright on the tabletop. You have to turn all the lights down. You'd have to play in the evening because that way it's not too bright. And even then, that still would look really, really bright to you. Arturo Petit, I see a lot of plasma in eyes with fluorescent paint, and I think it has to do with the transparency of the pigment. Yes, I've done a bunch of tutorials using fluorescent paint. I've even done Lizardmen, Seraphon in fluorescent colors. I've been using fluorescent colors for a long time because I like them, because the fluorescent golden high flow, some of the best fluorescent paints. I used to really enjoy Vallejos, like the regular model colors. They're not, but when I compared them to, I actually have a comparison video. Yeah. Of 3 different greens. Vallejo, somebody else, and golden. I can't remember what the hell. I can't remember what the hell was that paint line. It's 3 paints. Showed it a long time ago. I think I did it as a short. I think it's still viewable. Sorry, I'm going into my history here. Comparison. Oh, there it is. Fluorescent green. Oh, that's right. Okay, so it was golden high flow, Vallejo fluorescent, and it was Tesseract Glow from Citadel. Because a lot of people were comparing Tesseract Glow to a fluorescent. And I wanted to see, because I put it on the model on top of a white primer, and it just glows, right? It looks fluorescent. But when you compare it across the 3, it's not so fluorescent. It doesn't stack up as far as a fluorescent color is concerned. But yeah, I've done tons of videos, not tons, quite a few on fluorescent. I even, my Eldar Avatar, painted like many years ago, the Forge World one. I use fluorescence. The Necron, the Void Dragon. Where is he? Right there. That's all fluorescent pinks. I know I used it somewhere else on the shelf. The Necrons, all the Necron models, I used fluorescent magenta. Plasma glow effects, stuff like that. Yeah, fluorescence all the time. What was another model I used fluorescence on? As a demonstration. Oh, dang it. Yeah, like this little feller. Yeah, this little feller, I'm pretty sure, he's a little skink. Pretty sure I used a fluorescent blue on him. My fluorescent torch. Oh, shit, dropping bottles everywhere. I don't have my UV light handy, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I use a fluorescent, because I'm pretty sure it's fluorescent orange in the little cap. Yeah, you can see how I pull it closer and you can see how it's getting brighter. I like fluorescent colors. Fluorescent colors are fun. I like the visual aspect of the miniature painting. I'm not overly concerned with display type standards or anything like that. Mainly because, well, I'm more into painting, playing and painting than just painting alone. I don't paint simply just to paint. I paint with a goal. Paint, get the army ready or do the thing or whatever, right? So, Arturo, I've tried Green Stuff World fluorescent powders. Not amazed by it. I've not tried. I don't get a lot of fluorescent or Green Stuff World products. So the fluorescent powders, no, I haven't tried. Soundgarden 88. Good evening, Kris. Spelt my name wrong. You even got my wife watching along with me. She wants to talk Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Want to talk Warhammer Fantasy Battle? What do you want to talk about? I mean, everybody's getting excited. I know that. And it feels like we are going to get some updates to stuff, right? It feels like everybody can dust off their collections and play with them once again. To me, it feels like Warhammer Fantasy Battle is going to be like the Horse Heresy for Age of Sigmar, right? It's that kind of comparison, right? 40K, Horse Heresy. Same universe, different eras. Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Fantasy, same universe, different eras, right? So, and of course, yeah, Bretonnians. I hope we see some updates to Bretonnians. I still have all my Bretonnians. They're in rough shape, but they're the first generation of Bretonnians. The fifth edition, the box set that had the Lizardmen and the Bretonnians. That's the box set I got. That's when I finally got into Warhammer Fantasy, which was about late 90s, around 96, 97. I picked up that box. And yeah. Now I have not played a lot of Warhammer Fantasy. Especially when they changed the Bretonnians. The first book of Bretonnians was excellent. And I liked the lance formation, how it's a nice big triangle, and how you could basically just keep adding knights to it and just go for, like 5 depth. Or 6 depth. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited for Bretonnians. I'm excited. And I'm curious to see if we get updates for them. I would love to see something of Bretonnians return to Age of Sigmar. I would love to see that. I would like to see that. I'd like to see some iteration of Bretonnians make it to Age of Sigmar, because it seems like Bretonnians just got folded into the rest of the Sigmarites, right? And it's boring, right? Jabba's left nut. Wasn't it the crab thing? Oh, was it the crab thing? Yeah, I think I used fluorescence on the crab thing. Yeah, you right. Looking on my desk, what else is sitting on my desk right now? So many projects. I probably could have used fluorescence on the Seraphon, but I didn't. I was gonna, but I didn't. But yeah, and yeah, he's all done now. So I'm gonna take pretty pictures. Probably do a little showcase video, just a little quick little turnaround, just so people can see what I did for it, and and anybody who wants to paint along. Just about every aspect of the model was on display as far as how I went about painting it. Just some finer refinement type stuff probably isn't shown, just because it's hard to get those camera angles and show it properly. You would need like a small pinhole type camera to get in really close to see exactly what you're doing and have it like right in front of you, so that it's not obscuring. Because painting off to the side, which is a lot of times when I'm filming, I am painting off to the side. I often have to hold the model and my brush and then paint this way. And so I can't quite see what I'm painting sometimes for the camera, because I have the camera like positioned so it's like almost over my shoulder kind of thing and working. But the ideal situation would be have the camera right in front of your eye, right? And so it doesn't obscure, but you get everything, and also come in nice and close. But anyway, comments. Soundgarden. Well, we did all the square bases to start off with, right? Yeah. And so doing all the square bases, and then for everybody who made the transition from fantasy to Age of Sigmar, a a lot of people rebased their models. And now it seems like with Fantasy Battle returning, we're going back to square bases. Now, I've played both Warhammer Fantasy and 40K many times. I've played way more Warhammer Fantasy or 40K than I have Fantasy. And for me, Warhammer Fantasy, the only thing that is a concern is that unit block sizes just feel like one unit. And you're just maneuvering a big block. And each model is just a wound counter inside. And that's it. So essentially that could just be one model moving around and it loses size, right? It loses wounds. I mean, a tank in Warhammer 40,000 does the same thing. It's a big unit, has tons of wounds, and as it takes hits, this big block just moves around, losing wounds, and it affects its performance, right? But otherwise, yeah. And so that was one of my issues, and which is why I gravitated towards Bretonnians, because Bretonnians didn't fight that way. They could if they wanted to, but they didn't have to. And in fact, they were strong when they were just the lance. It was great on the charge, but obviously coming in at flanks on it, right? They got rocked, but that's what I really enjoyed. And then they changed it, and I was already kind of falling out of Warhammer Fantasy anyway, because again, it was always the same. And it's Warhammer Fantasy is often played in a 2D type of battlefield. It's always the same. It's always a field, one house, couple trees, maybe a hill. And that's it. It plays with a very minimal amount of space, or not space, terrain, so that people don't have to maneuver around a bunch of stuff, right? Because maneuvering is key. And so actually the game should be played with more terrain to emphasize positioning and tactics, as opposed to just knowing how far away you are from each other, right? And the battlefield is always very flat feeling versus 40K, where models and terrain are many elevations, right? But Warhammer Fantasy, especially Warhammer Fantasy Battle, isn't played like that. It's 2D. It's checkers versus chess kind of thing, or actually 3D chess, really. But yeah, and so that's why, I don't get super fired up about Warhammer Fantasy. I still have all my Bretonnians, and in fact, I'm toying with the idea of finally cleaning and preparing my Green Knight and painting my Green Knight. Old model, new paint job. Same with I've got this little feller here. I was gonna do up some point soon. Little Gene Stealer Magos. Found him one day completely caked, and so I stripped it, and yeah, and a lot of its detail is like the day it was made. The gun's a little soft, but I think that was part of the molding process, and it still has mold lines on it, so that's gotta be clean. But it's like the mold lines are really, really tight. Like I wish I could show you guys right now. We zoom in, and like it still has the mold line. The mold line has not been knocked down at all, and the mold line has got to be like point something of a millimeter deviation. Really, really good. This was a really good cast of this model. I've had other models where like the face was off kilter. Oh man, those were annoying. Those are annoying when that happens. I get annoyed. Mind you, it doesn't really take that much to annoy me though. Anyway, Soundgarden 88. We just scored a 94 sealed Citadel paint set with screw black screw U caps. What? And hell they did. But it came with a squad of 93 Space Marine sprues, 5 regular, 1 Launcher Marine. Stoked to get painting. Cool. Yeah, do it. They had the screw. Those are dark days. When Citadel switched over to the black screw top lids. That's a dark day for paint collectors and painting aficionados. Those paint pots were the worst. The absolute worst. I did not switch a lot of my paints over because I was just like, these paints are drying out so fast. And at the time, I was still in the process of swapping out some colors for the hexagonal bottles, but I still had a lot of the pure round ones, right? They look like Code d'Arms nowadays, right? Like these ones, right? all my paints were these, but there was only at the time Citadel only had I think 70 something of these paint pots, like of colors, including metallics and inks. But yeah, most of my paints were this, and I was still in the process of switching paints over to the hexagonal, right? And these ones, like this, you can hear this paint. This paint's still good. This is what 30-year-old paint, you know? Yeah, I mean even my snakebite leather. That's not really making noise. Is it mostly empty? Is it mostly dry? No, it's moving. It's just there's not much in there. Still had a big gooby in there, but I still have like my inks, the old Citadel inks. This is the brown, really good, strong. I still have like some of these old colors, the first washes, Leviathan purple, right? Remember when they came out with these, the soft cap black ones? Oh man. Yeah, the hexagonal. Man. These ones, like these inks, the red one, I went through so many bottles of it doing my Samhan Eldar. Oh yeah. But anyway, the black capped paints, yeah, they were horrible. They dried out so fast. As soon as you crack that seal and start painting, and then yeah, come back a week later, your fucking paint would be dry. Oh, huge pain in the ass. Huge. That was whoever decided on that at Games Workshop, whoever was part of that meeting, they said, you know what, we're going to go with these screw top lids with these hard plastic bottles, over manufactured. And that's when obviously we start seeing a dip in the amount of paint everybody got. Whoever started that, I hope to God they got syphilis. No, I'm just kidding. But that was a bad decision. That was a bad call. It was a bad call. But again, that was like what? Late 90s, early 2000s. That's when they switched those paints over like that. Oh, it was horrible. You basically had to store those paints upside down. So the paint would collect and that little rim would dry, but then it would seal the bottle. That was the only way to protect those paints, was to store them upside down. And honestly, that was kind of lame. Do I still have one of the black screw top bottles? Now you guys got me wondering here. Do I still have one? I keep one just for a keepsake. Oh, just to demonstrate how much of a fucking pain in the ass those bottles were. I had one because I used to use one as a paint holder, or a bottle holder. I know I still have a bottle or two kicking about. Anyway, yeah. Overproduced. Unnecessary. Soundgarden 88, talking about nostalgia. The smell is still there, but the paints indeed screw me. Unusable. Now I'm looking for more ancient paint sets. Never knew that could form an addiction. Oh, I know. And you know what, Soundgarden, you are, even to a lesser degree myself, but like Kim, who we were looking at the email there with the Heat Knights, he is an avid miniature paint collector, and he's not alone, as you are not alone. And yeah, you know, collecting the paint, yeah, I never really realized that is actually an aspect. I mean, obviously we all are of a similar kind of line of thinking. We're all collectors. We all collect things. And yeah, that's one thing that a lot of us wargamers all have in common. We're possibly hoarders, collectors, accruers of material, you know. Oh, we need a name for the show. Yeah, we're getting on 2:00 here. We're gonna end this at 2-ish. And yeah, I need a name of the show. Otherwise, I'm just gonna name it something stupid. Soundgarden. Yes, that's it. Feels as a unit, something 40K never had. Yes, but I like that. I like skirmish style movement of miniatures, right? Every Space Marine is moving around, and because that way you can, you know, get down and, you know what I mean? And like imagine there's Space Marines and they're hiding behind the barricade or something like that, and they've got their guns and they're shooting, and you know what I mean, everybody's scattered, somebody's up on a building, you're right, and the whole unit is very organic and moving. Whereas the structure within fantasy battle is very rigid. And oftentimes you're only playing with what? When you got big blocks of stuff, you're only playing with maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 units versus 40K, where you have to move every individual. Movement process can take longer, but you still have to manage quite a bit and consider how far forward things are and everything like that. Whereas with fantasy, it's one block. It's only one measurement, right? Versus 40K, where the terrain can affect how accessible an enemy unit is, right? If half the unit is outside of terrain and the other half is inside, and you have to go charging them, and you need a dice roll, but you're going to lose distance moving through terrain versus having to go around the terrain, you still have to add, you know what I mean? Like, there's all these things that can play out, even in those kind of instances where a unit could be half on, half off of terrain features, or half mixed within other units. And you know what I mean? Like, again, you can get into a lot of stuff. So, yeah. I prefer Warhammer 40,000 to Warhammer Fantasy. Age of Sigmar gravitated closer towards how Warhammer 40,000 plays, right? It's more skirmish style. And that to me is more interesting than big blocks. Because all it is like, with Warhammer Fantasy, you buy orcs. You're going to spend a lot of money, right? Because while the units, the cost of models are low, so you have to buy a lot. And the actual price tag, dollars spent on building up a big block of a unit, it's expensive. And all it is each model is just a wound counter, right? How big and the shape of the unit is entirely up to you, and how many models are in it. But essentially, it's just one thing with a bunch of wound markers in it, versus a unit of 10 Space Marines. It's just 10 Space Marines. Each Space Marine has their own profile, and every model can attack and do its own thing, as opposed to Warhammer Fantasy. Sure, you can allocate attacks, but split and fire, stuff like that, no. Ghost of Starman Deluxe. Lovely hanging out with the monkeys, as always. Got to skedaddle now to grab some dinner. See you around, gang. Later, duder. Dave Vaughn, is that the paint we're hearing, or your cheeks flapping when you shake it? It's my cheeks. Not these cheeks. Dave Vaughn, we're borderline hoarders. Yeah, exactly. We're borderline hoarders, right? I mean, fuck, if you looked at my office, you guys would all go, my God, man, what are you doing? You have a problem. And I do. I've got problems. I got 99 of them. And yeah, but, it's fun. Bayushi Banquet de Paint. Yeah. Jabba's Left Nut, episode 398. Miniature painter's wife passes him her puppies. Dark Commission, episode 398. The slow death of Western civilization started with screw cap bottles. Yeah, that sounds like the beginning of a thesis, but I like it. I'm going to use it. You win, Dark Commission. You win. Oh, it's too big. It's too big by 2 letters. Shit. Damn it. Damn it. Okay. That. Perfect. Fix it. I just removed the. Apparently, YouTube's telling me that civilization is misspelt. Auto-correcting. Okay. Space. Perfect. It works. Perfect. The death of Western civilization. It's such a long title, too. Oh, my God. Anyway. Good call, Dark Commission. Good call. All right. In light of the slow death of Western civilization, that's the end of the show. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. having conversation, talking. Hopefully, we answered some questions. Hopefully, we inspired some of you to get some more work done. Hopefully, we got you fired up for the upcoming releases. Hopefully, we had fun. I'm hoping we had fun. If you didn't have fun, well, too bad. Fun is not guaranteed. In fact, you can check the comments, description, everything. Yeah, fun is not a guarantee. Something akin to being informative, still not a guarantee. I want to thank you all guys for tuning in today. Big thank you to my patrons. Without your continued support and all you brand new ones, this channel wouldn't have continued to do what it is that I do. And so a huge thank you to everybody who supports. It also can support on YouTube through the memberships, also t-shirts, everything like that. Also help. WaveTheBrush.com. Head there. Central hub of all the cinemas, has links to all the social medias as well as Discord. Join us on Discord. We keep the conversation rolling there 24/7. And so feel free to join us there. We also have lots of channels for sharing, everything like that. Questions. There's all sorts of stuff available in the Discord. So feel free to join us in the Discord. There's only one rule in the Discord. That's it. Only one rule. I'm very simple. I'm easy to distract. I only keep it really simple. One rule. Don't be a dick. That's it. That's the only rule. Don't be a dick. Everything else will work out just fine. In fact, that's some life lessons for everybody. Don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick. Like, you know, it's really easy to not be a dick. Okay. Like, for example, here. Okay. Wife says, how does this dress look? Well, there's all million sorts of ways to answer that question. But the not being a dick, it looks great, honey. You look fantastic. Let's go. As you look at your watch. You look fantastic, radiant, beautiful, as always. Let's get the fuck on the road. Let's go. People are waiting. Anyway. I forget the rest of this ending spiel. Take care of each other. Take care of your brushes. They'll take care of you. I will see you guys next time. Yeah, and again, be sure to ask questions. Use the hashtag WaveTheBrush. Send your emails to Kris@WaveTheBrush. And yeah, let's just get some work done. Let's get some gaming done. For all you 40K players out there, man, that 10th edition box can't come soon enough. For all you fantasy players, yes, the old world can't return fast enough. For all you Age of Sigmar players out there, enjoy your fucking awesome looking models. I mean, Age of Sigmar, just fantastic looking models. I honestly, honestly, most of the time, Age of Sigmar models, even compared to some of the 40K models, worlds better. Age of Sigmar has a lot of the love because the reason why I think why the models look so fantastic in Age of Sigmar is because of charting new ground, relying on imagination, right? So many things in Age of Sigmar wouldn't have been in Warhammer Fantasy. Can you imagine the Idoneth Deepkin in Warhammer Fantasy? No way. It's too crazy. It's too crazy. Age of Sigmar, perfectly acceptable. Which is why I like Age of Sigmar. Hail Boop. Hey-o. Hey. Welcome, Hail. And Boop, if you've got any pressing questions, feel free to ask right now. Go ahead. Because I'm not ending the show right now, but I'm going to end the show right